5, 4. Shaitan here, bringing you more replay action from MLGOrlando 2011. We have winners bracket round 4, game number 1 on Antiga Shipyard between the pink Zerg Millennium Stephano in the upper left corner and the red Protoss White Raw in the bottom right corner. Both players are fan favorites for slightly different reasons. White Raw because of his innovative special tactics, his creative play that are always a pleasure to watch, and Stephano for just his crisp play, having come off of the IPL 3 victory, and after this tournament actually going on to defeat Marine King at ESWC to take a second major tournament win in a very short period. So we see that White Raw looks like he is going to do a Forge Fast Expand. It's very popular in the PvZ metagame right now. It allows you to get up your expansion at the same time, if not before your opponent, depending on how quickly you're able to scout them. And you can delay your tech a bit, but your economy flourishes, and you can just sort of hit with a strong timing attack, 6 or 7 gates. There's a bunch of different follow-ups off of the build. You can go Stargate Robo, really the possibilities are limited. So I really like this opening from White Raw. It doesn't force him into any sort of cheesier one-base play, and we'll see how the game develops after the game. But it looks like Stephano is actually not going to try to go for the hatchery first. He drops down the spawning pool. This lets him be completely safe against any sort of cannoning off of the natural, like dropping the pylon here and then a cannon here. So he just, I suppose he just doesn't want to deal with that. We do see White Raw sees the spawning pool is down. He sees that there's no gas, so he's going to be able to drop a Nexus actually before his Forge, as this Link will not be able to run over there fast enough. It looks like Stephano was actually able to get his hatchery down. The probe of White Raw was doing a bit of harassment on this drone here rather than blocking with a pylon here. I really wish White Raw had actually dropped that pylon. It really only costs you 25 minerals if you do the cancel. It delays the hatchery a little bit so your Nexus can get up well before it, and it makes these Lings have to sort of take a pit stop here and take out the pylon. But, you know, to each their own. White Raw, I guess, just wanted to let the hatchery go down so he could get the Forge down and drop a cannon, probably feel fairly secure. He's going to drop a cannon probably right around here, drop a gateway to add more to the wall off, and then if he sees any type of big aggression coming, he can drop another gateway or cybercore, some larger building over here to completely wall off this land. But I suppose the next major thing we're going to be looking for from White Raw is what sort of follow-up he does after the gateway. I'm a big fan personally of the 2 Stargate follow-up. It gives you a great deal of map control where you can go around picking off drones, picking off overlords, and almost forcing Hydralisks just due to the sheer amount of air units you have, and a quick follow-up to that build with Colossi is very strong. One interesting to note is that Stephano is actually getting gas much earlier than many Zergs. He is getting the Zergling speed, but we don't see him taking the third base at about 20 to 25 supply, and White Raw is scouting it. He knows that it should be here, and I think he's honestly a little bit confused as to why it's not. A very popular build right now is getting that first hatchery as soon as you can, and then double expanding in response to a Forge Fast Expand, because the Protoss really can't put on any sort of pressure. They can send out a couple of Zealots, but really you can deal with that. Certainly you can see White Raw drops the pylon down so he knows when his opponent is expanding. It looks like Stephano going for the later expansion at about 34 supply. So the reason that I'm a bit critical of this is this hatchery is going to be fairly low. In about 45 seconds is when, if you were to deal with a Stargate play, you would want to drop down a Evo chamber preemptively to deal with any sort of Stargate play. So dropping this hatchery probably at around the 6:30 mark is going to make it so that Spore Crawlers are not going to be up in time, your Queen won't be able to transfer, Creep won't be spread. All of these things are going to point to just a very, very delayed defense of this third base, and we see that there's a Zealot heading over to do a little bit of pressure, delay this base as much as possible, but the 6 Zerglings should be able to shut it down, especially the Zerglings speed. But if White Draw had been going for a Stargate opening, and I think he should have considered it, he would have probably been able to shut down this base quite effectively just with a Void Ray and a couple of Phoenixes. We see that the creep is not spread over here, and Spore Crawlers realistically would not have been up. But instead we do see White Draw is going for a robotics facility. Maybe we'll be seeing some Warp Prism play from him. That's really something that he popularized the use of. It was always a viable tactic, but White Draw was the first one to really use it in any sort of competitive play, and we do see a Warp Prism coming out. It'll be interesting to see what he does with it. In terms of the tech that he has, he's adding on 4 more gateways, so it'll be up to 5 gates. It will probably be Zealot Harass, loading up 4 Zealots into the Warp Prism, and then going and dropping the 4 Zealots into the natural, into the main or the natural. We could also see some sentry drops, where you drop sentries and then you force field off here, and here, and then here, meaning the drones cannot leave. You can do a lot of damage to them. But I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. White Draw is also upgrading +1, and he's getting a very quick robotics fade. Ooh, unfortunately for White Draw, the Warp Prism runs right past this Overlord. White Draw has to be kicking himself. We'll see if he actually decides to press the issue. But I think that this Warp Prism has been scouted. Stephano actually moved this link so it would die to the Warp Prism. Warp Prism, Warp Pin units. And White Draw is actually going to load in some Zealots into the Warp Prism and I guess press on his harass. But it looks like Stephano is more than prepared. He's building a Spore Crawler at his natural. He has an Overseer in case White Draw is warping in Dark Templars. We have a Spine Crawler in the back of the main. And then just really, Stephano has impeccable defense at this point against any sort of Warp Prism harass. In terms of drones, though, this is really the downfall of going for this later third with an earlier gas. Actually, 1 second, it looks like this Spore Crawler is going to be able to do a lot of damage to the Warp Prism. The Warp Prism really not unloading. Its shields are all gone right now, actually, and it's actually down to half hull health, but he should be safe right here. Actually, no, this Queen's going to be able to hit. Is White Draw going to lose this Warp Prism? Oh my god, White Draw is going to lose the Warp Prism without it doing any sort of damage. That's going to be 600 minerals down the range. That's a pretty big blow for White Draw. He has been able to get up his his third expansion up, so that's going to be a good thing to keep even bases against the Zerg. The Zerg right now is purely on a Roach army, but with the Immortal and this Colossus should be out before the attack comes. He should be able to defend with minimal losses. Stephano is getting a Spire, whether that's for Mutalisks or Corruptors remains to be seen. I'm not sure. Let's see. Does he know about the Robo? But he doesn't know anything really about the tech of his opponent. He might be getting the Spire to build Corruptors if not building. But as I was saying, if we look at the drone count, well, it's only 64 to 60 right now. Slight lead for Stephano, but earlier it was 40-something to 50-something with the advantage to White Draw, and that's really what happens when you get this early gas and you don't get your quick third. You aren't able to drone up as effectively, so you're not going to have the economic advantage that you'd like to have against the Zerg player. But we do see that Stephano is going to be forced back just by a bit of a feigned pressure from White Draw. He shouldn't really go any further with these units then. Maybe the Watchtower, because Stephano will be able to intercept and do a lot of damage to him. But Stephano has taken this gold base. He's getting into his swarmier mode. He's supply blocked because White Draw killed that Overseer, but no big deal. He has Overlords on the way. He's getting his +2 ranged attack. He has no Carapace upgrades on the way, but we'll really see how this goes. White Draw is building a second Robo facility. He's going to be able to Chrono Boost out Colossus or Immortals as needed, and I think that White Draw should be fairly well off against this attack. The Immortal is going to be doing significant damage on the ground, and even though the 5 or so Corruptors that are out will be able to deal with the Colossi that are being constructed by White Draw in, a fairly short amount of time, they're not going to instantly kill them, and that's just going to give them enough time to do a decent amount of damage against the army of Stephano. We do see very nice wall off from White Draw here. He doesn't want to have to deal with certain counterattacks. He wants to defend one major area right here rather than everything else. So White Draw pushing out right now, and Stephano's army is actually fairly small. 34 Roaches is not going to be enough to take out this army, especially with that Immortal. I love the Immortal from White Draw. With the new range upgrade, they're doing 55 damage at 6 range against these Roaches, 3-shotting the Roaches, which is always something that is a joy to watch as a Protoss player, I suppose. So we see that White Draw is actually continuing to build Immortals. He's pronoing double Immortal production. He's actually stopped Colossus at 3, which is a nice move, because then these Corruptors are going to be pretty useless against everything else. We see a slight counterattack at the 3rd, but it looks like White Draw is going to have to engage at the Rescue 3rd. It's not really going to be that good position for him, but Stephano's actually going to get trapped in this area. He's forced to engage right here. The Colossus are being taken down by the Corruptors, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough to prevent them from doing significant damage to the army. White Draw is able to whittle down the army of Stephano to only 14 roaches. He's going to be driven away. He lost all of his roaches in exchange for taking out those Colossi, which is always a good thing, but White Draw still has one Immortal out and double Immortal production continuing, so he's going to be able to have a pretty decent army against the almost pure roach army that Stephano has, and I think Stephano recognizes this. He's getting +1 melee attack, and he's building 20 Zerglings. Without Zealots or Colossi here, those Zerglings are going to be able to do significant damage to the army of White Draw, but we see White Draw also getting Blink. The Blink Micro is going to be very useful in increasing the longevity of these Stalkers, so we'll see really how the battle goes through, but I think right now I have to give the edge to White Draw, especially with +2 ground attack finishing for the Protoss player, with the Zerg player only on with the Zerg player on +2 as well. But it looks like Stephano is going into attack right now. I don't really like that. The force fields are decent, but there we go. We get the force field. Finally, the wall is complete. Stephano is going to lose a couple of roaches basically for free in terms of resources lost. We see that Stephano has lost about 2,000 resources, more than his opponent. That's not really unexpected, as the Zerg units are less cost efficient. We see another engagement right now. The Colossi are actually all pretty much going to lose their lives. I do like the disruption on the Immortals, and it looks like Stephano is going to go in and pick off the Immortals as much as he can. He was able to take out one, but he burrowed, and now he unburrowed right underneath the Immortals. It looks like all but one of the Immortals is going to die. Maybe this last one will, but no, it looks like the second Immortal coming up from the rear will be able to defend, and Stephano actually built a Hydralisk then during all of this. Against the Gateway Immortal army, you're going to want Hydralisk to be the BP damage dealers, as they don't die to the Immortals very quickly, but they're able to do significant damage to them. We see that Stephano is actually going to lose this gold base. White Draw needs to just kill that and get that. He should be very happy with this situation. Being 3 base versus 3 base is a beautiful situation in a PvZ from the Protoss's perspective, of course. One thing I have to be critical of Stephano is he took this 4th base, but he didn't really press the issue and expand anymore. I would have liked to see maybe at least a 5th base from Stephano. He does have a macro hatchery, which is nice, but, you know, throw out another base. It's just minerals. He hadn't been building that many turns at a time. We see another engagement from Stephano. I don't like this. His army is not big enough. He's not going to be able to deal any sort of damage to his army with the Blink Micro. And we see the White Draw is blinking back. He's not losing that many units in terms of resources lost. We see that right now Stephano is down 4,000 minerals, 4,000 resources compared to the only 2,000 before, and so Stephano is falling more and more behind. I think White Draw has to feel very, very happy with the way the situation is going right now. I wouldn't push up this ramp, rather. He knows that this base must be nearly mined out. Go into the 3rd base, and that's exactly what White Draw is doing. He's going to be able to snipe this hatchery, and then, oh no, he's not going to be able to get away with his Immortals because the wall is up. He's actually going to lose an Immortal for basically 3. Stephano is pulling all of his drones right now. He has to pull all of his drones to do damage to his army, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. The Hydralisks are doing significant damage to these Stalkers, but White Draw just flunks right on top of the Hydralisk. The Hydralisks don't have any sort of support to buffer the damage. It looks like White Draw is going to be victorious in this game, and in the engagement and the game. It looks like all of the Hydralisks are going down. Stephano down to 77 supply against the 124 of White Draw. Stephano is building Blink and roaches as fast as he can, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. White Draw is going to be able to win just by making Wind Stalkers right now. When you are ahead, Wind Stalkers are a very effective way to maintain that advantage because of how durable they are with good Blink Micro, and it looks like Stephano is down now 60 supply compared to his opponent. White Draw is continuing to reinforce with Stalkers, and this hatchery is going to go down. And once I think he loses this, it's going to be GG for Stephano, as he is going to have the production to attack to defeat White Draw, and Stephano taps out. White Draw is up in the series now, 1-0.